Hi, and welcome to Toking Points. You're tuned in with me, Swaggy Roaches, founder of the pro-cannabis band Stony Doom, and now we're expanding our network in exciting new ways. This is the place where we dive into deep, honest conversations with guests from the music scene, the cannabis world, and beyond. On Toking Points, we're here to break down the stigma, share personal stories, and normalize cannabis culture. From artists to activists, we're opening up the conversation about what cannabis means in today's world and how it's shaping lives, careers, and communities. This segment is proudly brought to you by The Stash Underground Rock and Metal, the home for all things heavy and high. Before we get started, just a quick note. Many of the topics we cover are still controversial. Some of our guests have taken real risks, putting their livelihoods and privacy on the line to share their personal experiences. So while this content is open to the public, we ask that you respect the privacy and lives of those who've shared their stories with us. Now, let's spark up and talk about it. Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Good to see you. Nice hoodie.
Likewise, man.
Nice
Yeah.
hoodies. Self-represent.
Yeah, I was hanging out in the garage. I just had to throw one on, and it's the one I wear. So
Right on, right on. It's been pretty nice out. It's probably still perfect to hang out in the garage.
yeah,
Cool. Well, welcome to Toking Points, Mike. Representing Beneath the Skin from the Western Missouri area. Do you guys claim Kansas City?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We pretty much we're a Kansas City band.
That's what I thought. Okay, I didn't want to misspeak, but that's what I thought.
Right.
Awesome, man. Let's jump right into it, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, I wrote up a list of questions here for you, as I often try to do. We're gonna tackle and just discuss our own opinions on Missouri versus Kansas and the issues with the vastly different legislation that's happening between those two states. You and I are state neighbors, and we've seen each other often enough in different events and circumstances, and it's just so baffling how we can live in such different legal scenarios.
It's wild. It's really wild, actually.
So let me ask you, as a Missouri resident, how has living in a legal state like Missouri shaped your perspective on cannabis? It's been legal for a while now.
I don't think it did anything to my perspective of cannabis. It's something that needs to happen all over the place for sure. But I've had the same perspective on cannabis since I was a kid. You know.
Right
So
on, yeah. Are you born and raised Missouri, more or
yeah,
less? Okay.
yeah. I was born in one of the hospitals in Kansas City. So I think
Okay.
it's St. Luke's or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right on. Yep. I've been there a time or two. Do you remember your first thoughts when Missouri legalized?
Yeah, at first it was really bizarre and I couldn't believe it.
It seemed like it happened pretty fast for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't super red on the situation. I was happy to see it go, but whenever leading up to the vote and everything, there was a lot of back and forth that I seen going on in the different discussions and everything
Mhm.
about how this isn't the way to do it and this and that. And everybody has their own opinions and their own reasoning behind it, but I think in general it's a step in the right direction. So
Sure. Yeah, I acknowledge that too. I did see, a lot of protest of the legalization from people that are generally pro cannabis. To elaborate more specifically, not just your average anti legalization people, but people that are pro cannabis were even kind of anti legalization because like you had mentioned, they didn't think that the way Missouri was doing it was quite the right way, and I personally don't know the grave details of all that. I'm sure it comes down to who's gonna ultimately be in control of it. and how much say they have over it, and
Yeah, I think a lot of
who
it
gets to
also had to
grow it.
do with some restrictions and limitations on different
Right,
things, and
licensing, I'm sure.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's tricky. It's hard to say, but we'll take what we can get.
right,
So it is a
right.
start. It is definitely a start. Do you think Missouri's legalization has influenced attitudes or behaviors in surrounding non-legal states like Kansas?
It's Kansas, man. I don't understand the stick in the ass of the state of Kansas. Um, Hopefully, it's trending that way because we Missouri got quite a bit of money off of this, hundreds of millions in sales tax alone. Not to mention the jobs and everything that it brought. So, if Kansas wants to stay hard nosed about it, I really think that they're going to be missing out.
Yeah,
Because the wave's coming, man. Just
I must say I am personally kind of surprised that I have not myself seen or heard um, of any spike in border uh, border crackdowns between Kansas and Missouri state lines. I haven't heard of a increase in people being pulled over or detained or caught with possession myself. Hasn't seemed like it's been a huge increase of people getting pulled over or arrested for that.
yeah, yeah. That's something that would be out of my purview. So
Which
I
is,
mean,
yeah, I'm not saying that there hasn't been a spike in that, but I just haven't heard or noticed it, which would be a positive. We don't want people
right.
getting pulled over for it or arrested in Kansas for it, but it is happening. Nobody can deny, nobody can be blind about it. It is happening. People are coming back to Kansas with stuff that's legal in Missouri. So,
Yeah.
what are we going
And
to do
I mean,
about
it was
that?
happening via Colorado prior to Missouri, anyways.
Correct, correct. But now we've got a much smaller, distance. It seemed like, to my observation again, that there was a lot of uh, at least monitoring of the traffic between Colorado and Kansas.
Yeah,
And they would definitely seem like they cracked down on it as much as they possibly could. Now, again, the highway systems between Colorado and Kansas versus Kansas and Missouri are quite a bit different too,
yeah.
and all the barriers, along I-70 and stuff are kind of different. Can't really park on the median there. So, along
Interesting.
those lines, have you seen any spillover effects, positive or negative, from Missouri's legal industry into Kansas communities or any of your other neighbors?
Really, I spend most of my time in Missouri. I have friends that travel through Kansas and stuff like that, and one of them got pulled over and got a ticket and diversion because they had a one hitter under their leg. You know what
Oh
I'm
man.
saying? But spillover from the legalization here to Kansas, most time in Kansas for is like if I go there for a night for a show or something like that. Um, I do see like in those situations, there's a lot more freer use regardless, and I could probably attribute a lot of that to the legalization of it in Missouri, and
Mm.
ease of access and all the different products and everything like that. So I don't know
Um,
if that answered your question
no,
or not.
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Your observation. Do you have a whole lot of friends that are still residents of Kansas?
Yeah, I have quite a few friends that are residents of
Okay. Would
Kansas.
you say that the overall, the energy is up, the desire is up for us to get on the same page as you guys?
Absolutely, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to reschedule the whole damn thing. Screw state to state. Let's just get it done overall. Let's move on with our lives. You
Sure.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because this is ridiculous. Alcohol is so much more dangerous than pot. You know, you never hear of. You never been sitting watching an episode of Cops and seeing a guy that smoked a couple bong rips and was putting holes in the drywall because of it. It's it's it, it it's like we're in bizarro world.
Yeah, I get it. Every time I seen somebody get busted for pot on, episode of Cops, they got their, head down between their legs because they're embarrassed they're getting wrapped up for some bullshit. It's
Yeah,
possession charges. Their stuff gets found because it's stinky and it's a very particular smell.
right.
It doesn't correlate to dangerous behavior. It doesn't correlate to reckless behavior. In my experience.
No, nor in mine. All it does is like prop up the snack food industry.
Sure. Now, I won't deny that, yeah, we've spoken with past guests before, some people just shouldn't smoke or, you should know your limit.
Yeah,
Obviously, yeah, there's a limit,
100%.
there's a moderation to everything. Be careful using any kind of substance in driving, even, your medications and stuff.
Well,
We know
and
that.
there's no question that it's psychotropic to some people and can trigger dormant mental issues that they might not have been aware about. You
Yeah.
know, there's instances in my personal experience from whenever I was a kid. People that freak out and never unfreak out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
True.
mean, it's a real thing, but that's why just like with alcohol or any other substance, everything should be uh, you know, viewed with caution and care and
Mhm.
safety. So
It's truly, yeah, to each his own situation, like with anything. I'm always torn between, comparing it to other substances and then saying, no, it's really, but it's different. But, there are so many things that are the same, and that constant, that common denominator, common fact to me is just that, yeah, to each his own. It treats everyone different, um, in the short term and definitely in the long term. So you just got to be cognizant of that. And I think it comes down to the great discussion. The grand goal is personal freedom, isn't it?
yeah,
And the
one hundred
personal
percent.
freedom of choice. So that leads into my next question pretty well. What do you think is missing in public conversations about safe use and that we should talk about more? What we've been screaming to the rooftops about, why it's not as unsafe as we've been fibbing to ourselves about for so long now. But what do we do to promote safe use and thinking for yourself and kind of wording
I,
that back.
yeah, I mean that's a good question. You could always try to educate, but in order to make sure that it lands in the right place, that can sometimes be tricky. And no matter how much you try to educate humans, people see what they want to see, and it gets squirrely in that regard. But I mean, I don't know. Just whenever we're praising the benefits of it, you just got to be transparent and honest about everything has a pro and a con list. Everything. So
Yep,
that'd be about my level of discussion. What needs to be discussed more in the public forum. So
sure.
because whenever you're sitting there constantly just saying, "Oh, the good, the good, the good." There's no balance to that. It's hard to believe anybody that is speaking that salesman kind of language where trying to. It's obvious when somebody's trying to sell you on something, but
Yeah.
you can kind of take someone a little more seriously whenever they bring. Oh, but also there's this thing over here. So
Yeah, I like that. I like you bringing that up because and I try to be more mindful of that and be more vocal about that. As difficult as it can be, yeah, it's not all peaches and rainbows all the time. Sometimes you wake yourself out or something. You're too stoned to do something, and you should be aware of that. And is that a great thing? No, but is being too drunk a great thing? No, but that's legal, and that comes down to again just freedom of choice to me.
yeah, it's about making good decisions too,
Yeah.
and we don't always make the best decisions, but knowing the risk about stuff, if People are starting to sprout up with some kid got sentenced for killing a family and stuff because he was under the influence of edibles or something like that. Yeah, those things are going to happen with anything, just like what we were just talking about prior. But if you take all of these things that they can grab onto and pearl clutch about and throw in everyone's face, put those in a list and put it in a list of everything that's happened with other substances while behind the wheel or at work or anything. You shouldn't be doing substances at work anyways, but you hold that up to anything else, man. It's nowhere near the numbers.
Yeah,
Nowhere near the numbers.
it pales in comparison. I completely agree. Yeah, which is the most baffling thing. Yeah, when we get down to again, I hesitate to compare, but we get when we get down to comparing substances,
You
cannabis
got to
is
though, because
so much
whenever
safer.
somebody's trying to demonize something, you've got to have some kind of comparison. There's got to be something to bounce it off of. You can't completely avoid the comparison game,
Well,
unfortunately.
yeah, look at the scheduling. You brought up early on the scheduling of substances, and cannabis is still number one, looking to be rescheduled to a lower class, which still, in most people's opinion, is still too high. It should be completely descheduled, a lot of people are saying, which I personally agree with.
Well, what schedule is, once again with the comparison, what schedule is alcohol?
uh,
You know?
I honestly don't know all the schedules, two or three. It's somewhere lower than because what's number
So
one? Number one's like
marijuana should be right
heroin
in that,
and
at the very least, be right in that realm.
yep. Absolutely. So rescheduling, yeah, it needs to be way, way at the bottom or descheduled, ideally.
Mhm.
Because they've been researching it for a long time. So it's well within the schedules of being a researchable substance.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's not like it's hard to come by.
Exactly. It will literally grows naturally. And that brings about, why is it really illegal? And, I get to preaching about all these deeper roots and just simply the fact that money drives laws and money drives decisions, and that there are several other industries that have a lot of money in the game, uh, in our economy and in commerce, that cannabis poses competition and a threat against.
Mother-in-law's joining the conversation apparently.
Howdy,
Yeah,
Ma.
yeah, it goes back to the whole foresting industry and the paper mills and everything else. It goes all the way back there with the hemp, and here we are again with the hemp in the news. What's going on with that? I didn't even look into it. I just seen it. I seen something about hemp was getting outlawed again for sure.
Yep. So I wanted to get into that, touch
All
base
right.
on that this episode too, because that's very fresh. I'm still kind of getting up to speed on that. Very disheartened by all that. But so within the bill to resurrect the government, bring the government back from their shutdown, they've tied in doing away with hemp. They're instituting a hemp ban here in the next 365 days from that. So a year's time from that signing. Basically, we have a whole year to do anything else about that potentially, but otherwise it's all but set in stone. So we'll see what becomes of that in the next year as we continue to fight to change or revise that. Maybe personally, again, I'm not well versed on law. I don't know what the move is on that. I'm personally looking forward to making some time to read into that a little more and find out. But it sounds to me like the hemp ban is underwriting all of the derivatives, like the Delta 8 and 9s and 10s and the THCAs and all
All the
that kind of
workarounds.
stuff. All of the, yep, all the synthetics and the
Yeah.
derivatives, and certain percentages, I believe,
Well, that
won't.
seems to me like it's in the wrong direction then.
Very wrong direction. Very,
Yeah.
very scary. They're talking about terminating a multi-billion dollar industry and tens or hundreds of thousands of U.S. jobs within the industry that we've already had established for a long time. Um, so very scary, very disheartening. Personally, I don't know what we're going to do about it, but here I am trying to keep my head and just trying to keep on keeping on. spreading what word I can, but still living life and trying to hold down my own. So
Right.
it's tricky, but it's a really steep hill, and it seems like one step forward, two steps back a lot of the time. But nevertheless, I do maintain hope and just keep telling my friends to be aware and keep I keep filling out those little emails that pop up saying write to your Congress people and your senators that you want this or that or you don't want this or that, and try to tell myself that maybe that's going to matter.
Yeah, well, I thought with it being a red state, getting Laura Kelly in there, I thought that Laura Kelly would have been the catalyst to have legalized over there, but doesn't
Fortunately
seem
not.
so
Yeah,
far.
sounds like it gets to the Senate and the Senate head, the Senate leaders snuff it down every time. They kind of have the final say on whether or not that can go to like a public vote or whether they can just outright pass it. So and they say no every time it's gotten any traction. So and then of
Yeah,
course our current governor does express support at least more specifically for medical cannabis. But personally, I think she's been pretty shy and beat around the bush about the whole thing, and
I agree.
it's fine. Probably bigger fish to fry from her perspective and background. But yeah, things aren't getting any easier, and we got Missouri here in the last handful of years that's legalized, and Colorado on the other side that's been going strong for well over a decade. So it's kind of feels like a joke to us. Big slap in the face.
I can imagine. Yeah, and whenever like they were doing those raids a couple of weeks ago to all of the like smoke shops and whatever they were sweeping through and getting whatever it was they were getting. I think it was like Delta 9 and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, so specifically in the city of Manhattan, I don't know if any other cities, counties are dealing with it, but I live, here in Manhattan, and they were doing raids and telling they were coming in. The law enforcement was just coming in, not raid style, but they were just coming in and telling the shops that they had 30 days from that verbal notice, um, which varied from shop to shop because they didn't go to every shop on the same day. So kind of silly. No written notice, mind you. I know this for a fact because I actually went to a city hall meeting. I went to a city hall meeting and listened in on some of this.
Yeah,
No written notice whatsoever, just a verbal notice that they had 30 days to cease and desist and not sell specific products like vapables and smokables and I want to say there was one other thing that's a drink. No, we still got drinkables. I think it was the edibles. I think they did away with edibles, which is pretty wild. But I think we still have drinkables. I might be wrong. We might still have the edibles, and then we may or may not still have tinctures and stuff. But I'm a big concentrate guy, and then second most, I'm a flower guy. So they did away with most of those things. The bare minimum THCA market and such that we had here in the city completely did away with it. Nobody's allowed to sell it anymore, at least not legally. And so right now, I'm not fussing with it. So yeah, that's a little background on the current local dealings here, just in my city alone. That was the city's decision to crack down even harder on that and
yeah.
make their own definition of the current Kansas hemp law.
Okay.
So it sucks.
Yeah.
Do you think, on a positive note, do you think that legalization in Missouri has improved opportunities for small businesses or entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there was a handful of dispensaries just in within a 15-mile radius of where I live. And you know, seeing guys in there that wouldn't enjoy flipping burgers and dropping the fries in the basket, but they're having the time of their life. They're, gainfully employed. They're paying their bills and they're doing something they love, and how you count how many employees per dispensary, how many dispensaries, that's a lot of good times, man, you
For
know.
sure. Yeah.
And not only that, the taxes that are getting injected into the economy, hundreds of millions of dollars. So.
Yep, I'm not seeing any negatives. I don't see the outburst of the increase. I don't see any increase of crime happening from legalization. Can't see any reason to be against it.
Well, you all stoners, you guys don't have a tendency to be breaking into people's garages at 3 in the morning.
No, and you know what? Nobody's gonna break into a dispensary to steal pot. They're gonna grow it. You can grow it. It grows in the ground. It grows in the dirt.
Well, I think I might have seen an article earlier today where some guys robbed a dispensary.
Oh,
As
okay,
a
sure.
matter of
I
fact,
won't misspeak. I'm being dramatic. Will you?
yeah,
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 because you know
I,
what? It's worth something. It's worth money.
well, yeah, but those aren't the guys you that
It's not
are
because
like.
you're fiending to smoke it.
No, it's the money,
Right.
100%, and that's a criminal entity
It's
outside of
different. That's a different.
marijuana
Yeah,
use.
that's
So, but
black
you know it's
market,
going to get
illegal
used.
crime.
You know it's going to get used by the naysayers.
Which gets into black market sales, which is
Yeah.
is a big point of mine. You know, if we legalize or if we at least decriminalize, you're doing away with the black market industry, drug market, and the crime and the violence that comes with that aspect.
Oh, you're putting a hell of a dent in it. That's
You're
for
not
sure.
seeing violence from legal markets.
Right.
You know, your dealer, your bud tender is not going to shoot you if you can't pay. You're just not going to get your bud, and he's going to make you go to the back of the line or something awkward, you know? It's not that serious, but we're not talking about cartel shit here. We could
No.
we could eliminate a lot or probably all of that related to drugs, in my opinion, if we
Put a
wanted.
hell of a dent in it for sure.
It would be great. It'd be really nice. What do you think is,
I'm going to expand on that.
yeah,
Legalization alone isn't going to tamp that out because with
no,
legalization comes the high taxes, So that's why I'm saying it'll put a dent in it. It's not going to eliminate it completely
no, I
because
agree. Yeah,
money talks and the deal goes to the guy with the best price. So
that's true. Well, so that comes to something else that, I try to do better about preaching, and that's, affordability and accessibility.
mhm.
And a lot of the problems that come into play with legalization instead of just simple decriminalization is now you've got, capitalist markets coming into play. You've got control. Um, you've got oversight. I mean, you should have testing and such. You should have quality control. But
Right.
now there's, this control of dictation of, who gets to sell, who gets to grow, um, and that gets kind of muddied.
And I think that goes back to why a lot of people that were pro legalization were against what ended up passing in Missouri
Right.
because of that stuff.
Yes. Yes. And so we got to be wary of all that can unfold from that. Like I say, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So. What do you think is the biggest benefit you've seen since legalization in Missouri?
Definitely the jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. The jobs and yeah, yeah, that's it.
Do you personally know very many people that are involved in work in the industry in any way, bud tenders or trimmers or
Yep.
anything? Yeah. And they're all generally happy with the industry and the way things are going.
Oh, they love their job.
Generally,
They,
yeah.
they love their job. What's not to love about that? If I was younger and had my ability to make a decision for a career in today's current climate with Missouri marijuana laws, I'd have probably went down that route. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure. Yeah, being in the middle of Kansas, I feel like that's not even touchable, not even for necessarily a remote opportunity. I just kind of get laughed out of the candidacy. But man, as soon as that tide starts turning, I would love to consider that industry. I've always been passionate. I'm sure you can imagine. I've always been passionate about that industry since, before I could work. So,
yeah.
if you could change one thing about the current cannabis system, legal or illegal, what would it be?
I don't know that I'm informed enough to make a solid statement for that.
That's okay. So maybe I'll reword the question, and we can think on
Okay.
it. We can always circle back to it. Um, you're in a we got 10 minutes left, so that's perfect. You're in a legal state. Is there anything that you would change in your mind that you would like to see different about the way that things are done? Would you like,
I would like for the grip to loosen a lot more.
yeah, even more?
You know, it's too regulated for it to accomplish the full goals that it has the potential to accomplish.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. It's interesting. My initial thought is, oh, they're scared to unleash the full potential. They're just testing the waters. But in my personal, my more experienced mind tells me, well, no, they're trying to control the flow of
You-
cash and make sure that it
That's
stays
exactly it, dude.
in
Yeah,
in their
because
pockets.
it's government led. Of course, that's what it's going to do because that's what government does.
So they really cared. Again, it would be decriminalization and it would be grow as many fucking plants as you want. As
Yeah.
many as you can handle. That's your property. That's your business. That's what it would come down to if it was really about respecting personal freedom.
Well, it doesn't matter the politician. They respect personal freedom with caveats. You know what I mean? But
As long as it benefits them. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Last question that I think I got for you, at least written down. What advice would you give someone advocating for safe and legal cannabis in a state where it's still prohibited?
When you do your spiel, be transparent, be honest. It's not like we spoke about earlier. It's not all strawberries and sunshine. Be honest. That's the only way anybody's going to ever take you seriously that has any kind of thought going on between their ears.
Right.
People recognize real. Just keep it real. As long as nobody's thinking you're trying to slide something by, they're going to be less inclined to, be against it.
Yep, I agree. And that makes me immediately think of, the counter side of that being pretty much all these politicians that continue to lie to us about, their knowledge and their own opinions, at least in the public perspective.
Well, it's all a fucking shell game.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's just soul crushing, man. It's maddening.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the discussion. What are we doing about it? Not a lot right now, but the wheels are turning, tides are moving, with or without us, and we're just here along for the ride. But damn it, I think I speak for both of us when I say we're gonna keep on doing what we got to do, what we feel is right by ourselves, and
Yeah.
just hope by good graces that we stay right and stay out of trouble.
I will say that it's really crazy how, whenever I was younger in the 90s, everybody was like, "Oh, it'll never get legalized. It'll never get legalized." And that now it is. It's really really bizarre.
Yeah,
Still to you, what was it? 2019, 2020 or something? Whenever it got legalized in Missouri, I don't even know the year that it happened.
I know that
It's not been very long,
that little
so
brick of years, that little era there became a blur for all of us. But
right.
yeah, it feels not so long ago and so long ago at the same time. Yeah, I've got a funny enough. I got a similar story. Excuse me. I'll never forget, being a teenager, early on, not long after getting in trouble for, being curious about pot and exploring it and trying it out. I'll never forget just having a casual conversation with my dad and asking him if he ever thought that it would be legalized in our lifetime. And he very confidently told me no. I never really took that to heart, but I just thought it was funny that really not so many years later after that, things really started changing pretty drastically.
Yeah.
Maybe not in Kansas, but little hot spots all around us. Things are happening and moving.
Yeah.
It's baffling.
It's crazy how California led the charge on that.
Yeah, yeah, and how everyone kind of still mocks California for their different ways.
Yep. Got to cherry pick them.
They were, yeah, no kidding. They were onto something though, apparently,
Yeah,
ahead of
they
their
were.
time. Well, Mike, cool. We ate all that up, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
you getting together and chatting with me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, yeah, you signed up like I think almost a year ago, and I
Hmm.
have just very slowly been trickling through each guest, and like I said, just been kind of biding my time, juggling every different thing. So wanted to make sure I at least stuck with this project. So just been kind of slowly chewing on it.
Hell yeah, dude. So we're gonna do a show together next year, right?
The later, the better,
Yeah.
more or less. Just keep me posted. I mean, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm not going to outright tell you no, but
Right.
we are hunkering down to finish writing a bunch of stuff. I got so many loose parts that I want to focus on, and
Right.
of course, we bounce around a lot with our lineup and stuff, and
Yeah. Keeps
uh,
it entertaining.
it keeps it entertaining. But honestly, it was just always the mindset of how do we keep moving forward when we hit a snag, and member lineups are a very common snag. And I mean, I'm not saying it like I had the outright foresight of all that to begin with, but it was like, okay, let's say it's super loosey goosey. Anybody can play, anybody can change out. Shit, we're changing out different instruments that we play and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really, again, just all for the sake of how do we keep it moving forward, and not hitting any major snags.
Well, that's something like Green Jello does.
Yeah, yeah,
Charles Manspeaker, he's got friends all across the country, and as
right,
he's touring, different musicians jump on in different cities and stuff.
dude, yeah.
So
Hey,
his band is massive.
that's what's up. I figured that was kind of the case. I didn't realize it was quite like that, but that's perfect, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really how it is. But I always joke that they can even play without me. I'm waiting. I'm hoping. Let them book a show when I'm busy.
Well, we got to hear that angelic voice, bro.
Zach kind of overshadows me a lot of the time. He's got such a freaking powerful
Yeah, he
voice
does.
and chest. I'm like hurting in the gut just to try to top him, and I'm always like lower too in the range, so it's even harder to get on top.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's a lot of fun, man. We're having a blast, and so yeah, I definitely want to play all the shows I can. Just for once, in a few years, taking a little time off for the next several months to try to hunker down and do some stuff.
Yeah, we're getting ready to go into the studio ourselves to start recording the next album. So,
Yeah, yeah. You guys have dates?
not yet. So we're still in the discussion phase. We know where we're going to record it,
Yeah.
but we just got to all get there. And this is the time we always like want to focus on recording, but at the same time, we all have families, and it's those holiday
And then that
times.
blows by, and then it's fucking spring. Yeah.
And then they're like, shit, we're not even done tracking yet.
Yeah, and
And
then it's back to practice time. So yeah,
right.
that's why I'm trying to say we're holding off on shows for probably the better part of the year. And then honestly, I'll have, quite a bit of personal stuff. My brother's getting married and stuff in the next year. So it'll be a big year for family stuff, and I want to make sure I'm available for all that good stuff.
I hear that, man. I hear that. You got to have balance.
Yep, yep, trying to do that. I've driven myself crazy a couple times now, so figuring it out along the way.
Same, brother, same. All right,
Uh,
man.
all
Well,
right, buddy. I appreciate you. I'll keep you posted and take care.
you too.
All right, man.
Later.
Later, buddy.